Right now on Denver 7 News at 7 o'clock on Local 3, a Denver mother gone too soon after she was shot and killed unloading groceries, and now her son wants justice.
I hope that gang members look at these situations and make changes in their lives. Stop terrorizing people.
Who police took into custody and who officers are still after.
NASA hoping second time's the charm. The plans to try and launch its rocket to the moon again as part of a historic mission into outer space.
And we're about 3 days away from the start of the Labor Day holiday weekend. What to know if you're going to be out traveling and hitting the road to avoid the biggest traffic jams. Thanks for joining us on this Wednesday. I'm Brian Sanders.
And I'm Nicole Brady. If you're staying right here in Colorado, it's going to be hot. A good last chance to check out the pool, Lisa, before they close for the season.
And a good weekend for it, you're right. Weather-wise, no complaints. It's been really warm, and it's going to stay that way here for the next 5 to 7 days. We're in the 60s right now. Really pretty start to our Wednesday morning. A little mix of sun and clouds as your kids are heading out to school this morning. Mid to upper 60s at the bus stop. Sunshine early on. We'll see a slight chance for a few thunderstorms here this afternoon. Low to mid 90s for highs. Denver's going to be right around 93. Upper 80s near Castle Rock and Parker. Again, near 80 there in Evergreen, and upper 70s near Estes Park. So it's pretty warm and overall pretty dry. We're going to get an isolated storm or two popping up today, but a lot of what we're going to see will likely be east of I-25 out across northeastern Colorado, and not a lot of rain, Jason. With these storms, likely some gusty winds, thunder and lightning. And it stays warm. I'll show you that toasty Super 7 Day coming up.
And we have a serious situation up to the northwest side of town along Pecos, where it's closed down between 72nd and Highway 36. So this section is closed down. A person was hit by a car, taken to the by ambulance to the hospital, and I don't have any condition from the police just yet. But you can see that both sides, they were saying just northbound's closed, but both sides are closed down at Pecos. To get around it, we're going to use either Broadway, as you can see on the map, just a little bit here to the east, or Federal a little bit to the west to get around it. Highway 36 is unaffected. You can see some of the heavy traffic across downtown, including on that section all the way through about Mile High Stadium. See some busy areas out here to the east side of town, but no new problems for us over here through Aurora, which is helping us out. In and out of the Denver Tech Center is actually better than average for you right now.
Well, this morning, police are looking for a fifth suspect they say was responsible for killing this Denver mom. Ma Kang was hit by a stray bullet last month. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is live. And Veronica, one of the 4 people who was arrested, will be in court today.
He will be. And Ma Kang was a mother of 4. She was actually just unloading groceries on July 15th when she was hit and killed by that stray bullet, and finally she is getting some justice. We know that one of the people that police say was responsible in the death of Kang is going to be inside of a courtroom, and that's going to be in this building that you see that's right behind me. So let's take a moment. Let's show you 4 of the people that police have arrested here. These are the 4 men. They have all been charged with first-degree murder. And here's what police told us happened that night. They said these men said they saw a vehicle circling New Freedom Park back on that July day that they, quote, didn't believe belonged in the area. The suspects shot at that vehicle. Police believe it was one of those bullets that ended up killing King. And new this morning, we're hearing from Sharon Knight. She's the CEO of a nonprofit King worked with pretty often. She told us King's son was happy arrests were made, but still, understandably, is just reeling from the death of his mom. She also told us he's dedicated to bettering his community, reducing some crime there, which is also what she wants.
For years, we've been asking for more services, more police coverage, more response, more infrastructure, and it just hasn't happened. What we need to do is find a way to stop that, to alleviate that no matter what part of town it's in.
And we know that there is still a 5th suspect on the loose. We're going to let you know when police finally arrest them. We also know that because of Kang's death, there was some prompted change with how Verizon routes those 911 calls. On the day that Kang died, her family called 911, but instead of going to Denver, that 911 call was routed to Aurora. And as you can probably imagine, it took some time for those first responders to get to her and help try and save her life, which unfortunately they couldn't do that day. We now know that Verizon's going to be changing how they route those emergency calls. That's going to be nationwide, not just right here in Colorado, and they are going to start doing that next year. In Denver, I'm Veronica Acosta, Denver 7.
All right, thank you, Veronica. Mesa County Clerk Tina Peters is due back in court 1 week from today. The district attorney has asked the court to set a trial date at that appearance. The DA just wrapped up a joint investigation with the Attorney General. Peters is accused of tampering with Mesa County's elections equipment.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi will be in Boulder today promoting the Inflation Reduction Act with a visit to the National Center for Atmospheric Research. The law, which was passed last month, is the largest investment in history to combat climate change. It commits about $375 billion over the next decade toward things like clean energy production and wildfire response. Well, breaking from overnight in the FBI's search of former President Donald Trump's Florida home, the Justice Department says it has found evidence of obstruction in its probe into the handling of classified documents. ABC's Justin Finch reports.
This morning, the Justice Department issuing a scathing rebuke of former President Trump's legal team, urging a judge to reject a request for a special master to review the seized records. The landmark filing details repeated efforts by the government to obtain those records and includes this image, which justice officials say shows top secret records seen here alongside a box of framed photos.
This is a blistering rebuke by the Justice Department of former President Donald Trump's legal team, basically dismantling almost every argument that they've put forward.
The DOJ alleging its discovered efforts to obstruct its investigation into those FBI seized documents, saying government records were likely concealed and removed from a Mar-a-Lago storage room. Also noting the FBI found 3 classified documents outside of boxes and in desks in a room called the 45 office. Records DOJ explains it had been working with Trump's team for months to recover, even issuing subpoenas. They say Trump's lawyers never made any attempt to assert executive privilege.
The Justice Department here is essentially alleging that Trump's legal team engaged in obstruction in order to prevent the handover of classified materials.
That Mar-a-Lago probe reverberating on the November midterm campaign trail Tuesday.
It's sickening to see the new attacks on the FBI.
President Biden in Pennsylvania condemning, quote, MAGA Republicans for the ramped up rhetoric and threats following the FBI search of Trump's home.
There's no place in this country, no place for endangering the lives of law enforcement. I'm also opposed to defunding the FBI.
A Florida federal judge is set to hear arguments regarding Trump's special master request on Thursday and has indicated preliminary support for granting it. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
The city of Boulder is voluntarily pausing enforcement of its ban on assault weapons and large capacity magazines. The city passed the bans in June following the mass shootings in Uvalde, Texas and Buffalo, New York. Rocky Mountain Gun Owners has filed lawsuits against Colorado cities that have enacted new gun laws. Yesterday, the city of Boulder, along with Louisville, Superior and Boulder County, agreed to consolidate the cases against them into one lawsuit.
It helps both sides of not wasting resources of going out and suing, every town and having to pay for every lawsuit. Now we have one cohesive lawsuit.
Meanwhile, a judge declined to block a Colorado law prohibiting the possession of large capacity gun magazines. A Colorado Springs man filed a lawsuit against the state attorney general claiming the ban violated his Second Amendment rights. The man based his lawsuit on a recent Supreme Court ruling that made it more difficult for governments to enact gun safety laws.
Plan ahead if you're traveling anywhere over Labor Day weekend. It is one of the busiest traffic periods along I-70 into the high country. According to the Summit Daily, westbound traffic into the mountains is expected to be the busiest mid-morning to late afternoon Friday and then again early morning Saturday. The busiest time for traffic back towards Denver will be mid-morning Monday through late afternoon Monday.
And as Lisa said, it's going to be hot and dry here for the Labor Day weekend. So how's it looking if you're going somewhere else? Here's Amy Kiley.
This is shaping up to be a brutal week for U.S. weather. Western states are dealing with a heat wave forecast through the holiday weekend.
As many as 50 million Americans across parts of 7 states dealing with excessive temperatures this week. Nearly 120 record temps could fall by the end of the week.
In some areas, that also means smog.
On days that are especially hot, like we have coming this week, ozone is extra high.
California's energy operator warns the heat will strain the power grid. It says customers should expect a flex alert, asking them to conserve electricity. Meanwhile, some travelers might be flying home belatedly today after storms in the Northeast yesterday. The U.S. saw a total of nearly 900 flight cancellations and almost 5,000 delays.
Millions of Americans across the Northeast dealing with severe weather, as many as 20-plus severe wind gust reports in the past 24 hours.
Jackson, Mississippi is enduring a desperate water shortage. The city's been under a boil water notice since late July due to a failing system. Then this week's floods caused severe damage at its main treatment plant.
There's a major interruption in life in its entirety for so many of our residents, and they have been beyond frustrated.
I'm Amy Kiley reporting.
Well, back to school shopping next year may feature a fashion blast to the past. The clothing trends retailers are planning to recycle.
Plus, the iconic Back to the Future Delorean is getting a 21st century makeover. We'll look at what it looks like now, more than 35 years later.